Have you ever had fish and chips in London? They are the best, and this place is one of my favorites. Hey, can I get one cod, one chips, one mushy peas, and a sausage, mate?
No worries, mate. I'll get that ready for you now.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Oof. That is good. By the way, did I tell you, we're not even in London. We're in New York City, and I am at one of my favorite places, Assault and Battery. It is genuinely one of the greatest places to get fish and chips. I love it, and I bet you will too. Hi there, I'm Justin Russo, and this is Check Your Luggage. I'm in a neighborhood affectionately called Little Britain, and we're right here on Greenwich Avenue, just a stone's throw away from the 14th Street A stop, and this is a strip of land dedicated to all things British. It has a few shops, and one of them is a great tea shop that serves a full English breakfast, including beans on toast. It's a British thing, but don't knock until you try it. Right here we have the sweet shop that sells any treat and delicacy available in the UK, right here in the US. And of course, the fish and chip shop. No street in the UK is without one. You can get the authentic thing right here in New York City. I would love to introduce you to the amazing couple that created this strip of British loveliness, Sean Kavanagh Dowsett and Nikki Perry. Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
Firstly, those chips were incredible. I don't know what your secret is, but keep it going. Tell me,
Chocolate
how
chips.
long have you been open for, and how did it all start?
30 years and a bit.
And
And a bit.
And
Quite a
it was
bit.
my idea, my passion, when I first came to New York. And it took about 10 years in the making. And it was the little baby restaurant that came first.
Right.
And then he walked into my life.
I stalked her, so she showed no
You did?
interest in me at all. I actually fell in love with her before I'd ever met her. She's going to roll her eyes because she's heard this story once or twice, as you can imagine. But a
I haven't.
friend of mine, photo assistant, was in next door having a meal with another lad that I knew, and he had beans on toast followed by shepherd's pie, which is a lot of food.
Right.
So he didn't really have room for dessert, and the other lad at the table ordered treacle pudding and custard. So my friend Taff took the spoon out of his mug, dipped it in the custard, and was about to taste it when he felt a burning sensation in the side of his head, which was my now lovely lady wife, glaring at him from behind the counter like, "Cheap bastard, why didn't you buy your own dessert?" So he was a bit like a deer in the headlights, and he goes, "Oh, I just wanted to see if it was bird's custard." To which she shouted across the restaurant the words that made me fall in love with her, which was, "Of course it's effing birds!" And I thought, wow, that's the woman for me.
And then what came next after the little shop?
This came next. It was in my head to do the shop
Right.
after the restaurant. So as soon as I met this one and realised he'd got tools,
We built this.
we built this.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how do you think that these three stores, Teen Sympathy and the Sweet Shop and Salt and Battery, have become part of the fabric of New York?
Well, I think we've taught Americans a lot about English food, English candy, English biscuits, and definitely how to have a proper cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I think Americans come here and have this tea, and then they don't go back to the other.
Yeah, no, we had to, I mean,
People do come in here and they say, "Have you got an?" I'm like,
no, we don't do microwaving.
"Oh,
of
does
them.
does the teapot go in the
No.
microwave?"
No,
I'm not
no,
selling you a teapot if you're going to do that.
Yeah, she turned a man down one day. It was really funny. He came in and he goes, "Oh yeah, which of your teapots is microwave safe? And she goes, well, why would you need to know that? And he goes, well, because, you know, I love tea and I put it in the microwave in the water. And she goes, no, I'm not selling you a teapot. And we used to sell electric kettles, and he goes, well, what am I supposed to do then? She goes, you buy an electric kettle and all this stuff. And he was like, yes, I will do then, and bought it all and stormed out, like in a right huff. But the funny part was he came back in a couple of days later and came up to her at the counter and he was like, I just wanted to apologise that I you know, all these years I've loved tea, but I had no idea it tasted this good. So we've converted somebody.
So you've truly brought the you truly brought it to life, the British culture into New York City. Now, how many cups of tea would you say you've sold within a year? Or let's say within your entire 30 years
Millions.
of business?
I would say probably millions.
Mega millions.
Yeah.
Now, what is, considering we're in the sweet shop, the most popular candy?
Flake.
Flake.
Cadbury's Flake, probably.
And
Dairy
crunchy.
milk is always very popular.
I do love some dairy milk.
Yeah.
And-
Smarties
and
are good.
crunchy.
They're all good. I mean, that's the problem. They're all good.
And
Yeah.
what are your favorites?
Well, I probably would go for the flake or the Topic. But the Topic's not the biggest seller because the Topic's got lots of nuts. But it's funny, you know, as soon as you sell out of something, that's what everybody wants.
Of course. That's Murphy's Law.
Minstrels,
Yeah.
they're very hard to get now.
So my last question for you is this. What is the secret to your perfect chip?
I'm a little obsessed with details. I was working on a film shoot, came back into town, and my lovely lady wife said to me, you know what, people keep saying we should do a fish and chip shop, but I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to do a new restaurant, we'd have to get it right. And anyway, what would we call it? And I went, assault and battery. And she went, oh, used the F word, and then said, now we've got to do it. So we did. But the problem we ran into was you can't get King Edward or Meris Piper potatoes here, which is what they use in fish and chip shops in England. So I'm such an obsessive, I spent 3.5 months FedExing individual potatoes between the English and the American potato marketing boards so I could find the ones that had the closest starch, sugar and water contents. And even Heston Blumenthal, the famous chef from the Fat Duck at Bray, was
Who named
so...
our fish and chips as the best in the world, by the way.
Yes, he was so enthralled with that he put us in his book, In Pursuit of Perfection.
There we have it.
Not bad, right?
Not bad at all. And I'd like to thank you both for having us, for hosting me, and for being part of New York's culture and right here in the center of everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been lovely being had.
Thank you. I am already in love with those two. And I'm gonna get some more chips. But can you believe there's even more British stuff to do right here in NYC? So, quit your faffing, hit the loo, put on your trainers, grab your brolly, and come with me for a ride on Chinwag. It'll be bloody brilliant, I can promise you that. Come on. I told you there was more, didn't I? Take a look at this fabulous double-decker bus. We're at the amazing Highline Hotel in Chelsea, and this bus is operating as their coffee shop in their front garden, what the Brits call in their front yard. The Highline Hotel is actually partly housed in the General Theological Seminary of the Episcopal Church. It was founded in 1817. And they use brick buildings and stained glass to resemble quadrangles or closed that you would see in typical British colleges. I am incredibly fascinated by Americans' interest in all things British, and who better to answer our questions than Mr. Paul Gouger, who works for Britain but does so here in New York City. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can I rely on you to be my Englishman in New York?
You can, absolutely. But you can probably tell that it's not a pure English accent. So I was born in England, but I grew up in Australia and then left Sydney, moved to London, then to New York. So I am an Englishman in New York, but a bit of an international accent.
So you're quite continental.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
So I work for Visit Britain. Visit Britain is the National Tourism Office for London, England, Scotland and Wales. And we promote the UK to get more Americans to visit Britain. So we want you to have your vacation here, have a great time, go exploring all over the country, and enjoy everything we've got to offer.
So your job is to get us overseas.
Absolutely. We want you to come over. We want you to really, like, everyone, there's a lot of interest in Britain. Everyone loves Britain, which is great. And I think a lot of people love London, and London's sort of like our jewel in the crown.
Right.
And then, but of course, you know, there's other places all over the UK, whether so promoting England, going into Scotland and Wales.
So what do you think it is about England that Americans are so fascinated with and that we're drawn to?
I think a lot of it's to do with history and heritage and culture. we've got a long association, the two countries.
Right.
I think there's a lot of a lot of history there, and there's a lot of I would say, like from a cultural perspective, there's a lot of film and television, so we do share a lot in that sense where we, so everyone's watching Bridgerton, The Crown, Downton Abbey, a lot of the types of programs like that.
I will say, as someone who's been to England and has stayed in London for several weeks, it is quite similar to New York in terms of its frenetic energy, but also I think it's a place that is relatable, and I think New Yorkers and people from all across the US could really understand that feeling and the similarities between the two places. And is that sort of why you think there are a lot of chip shops and sweet shops here in New York City?
I think there's things like lovely things like here, like afternoon tea. So that's the perfect tradition, the perfect British tradition. And I think places like in the Village, Greenwich Village, there's some wonderful places like Tea and Sympathy. If you love fish and chips, Salt and Battery. I love the Met personally. Love going to the Met. And there's the British Galleries in the Met there now. I live in Chelsea myself, so it's just near a new attraction called Little Island, which was designed by a British architect. So I think there's a lot of British influence here in the city, and so you can experience a little bit of Britain here in New York.
To prep yourself for your trip.
But we still want you to come and visit us.
And with that, what can people of the LGBTQ plus community expect when they go to England?
So it's got a great amount of nightlife. So I think a lot of bars, a lot of clubs, and it's not just in London as well. It's all over the country. But London's got places like, you might have heard of Soho, and then there's Vauxhall. Mm-hmm. So there's different pockets of neighbourhoods all over the city. But then there's other cities like Brighton, which is only an hour from London on the train, and that's a seaside beach city, which is great. Got a great thriving nightlife there. And then you can go up north by train. So from London to Manchester in 2 hours, you can be in Manchester, which is another very cool city, great nightlife, Canal Street. And then up to Scotland and Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Wales as well with Cardiff. So, but it's not just all about nightlife. I think everyone, you want to experience that,
right.
But you also want to experience the culture, the heritage, things like afternoon tea, the cuisine, and do the galleries and museums.
I do have a burning question, because it is one of my favorite shows. Can I go visit Downton Abbey?
You can go and visit Downton Abbey.
Will the Dowager be there?
The Dowager, I can't guarantee that Dame Maggie Smith will be there. Okay. But there is the Earl and Countess of Highclere Castle. So it's actually called Highclere, and you have to book in advance. You have to get a ticket, so it's not open. You couldn't just turn up, but definitely worth a visit. I've been very lucky to go there.
So Paul, thank you so much for visiting our show and telling us all about the experiences in the UK and Britain. And for more information, where can people find any answers or ask some questions?
Sure. Well, I'd love everyone to contact me, but that's probably a bit too hard. So you really should go to visitbritain.com. That's where we've got a load of information. We've got a specific LGBTQ section on our website as well. So yeah, you can get city guides and all the information you need.
That's fantastic.
We really look forward to welcoming everyone to Britain.
And I think we look forward to going back, that's for sure.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, if you were anything like me, after a long day, you like to settle up with a nice cold drink and a magazine. Well, today I'm going to one-up myself and share a bottle of bubbly with the editor of a new queer travel magazine, Vacationer. Welcome, the one and only Mr. Quinn Mosby. Hi, Quinn. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Justin, for inviting me to the show. I really appreciate it. I do want to say I'm super excited about this new magazine and all the travel that I'll be doing.
I think we're all going to be a little jealous about that trip. But tell us more about the magazine and its mission.
So Vacationer.travel is a platform that I think it's meant to create a safe harbor or haven for LGBTQ plus travelers who aren't seeing themselves represented in mainstream media or other travel publications. So our whole focus is really to kind of like promote our diversity within our own community.
So with that said, what are some recommendations that you will give and do give to your career travelers?
So one of the things is safety. Safety is very important. It's a priority, I think, for most of us. And I think if you do your research and just check to see what the laws are and the destination that you're traveling to. It's really, really helpful. Also, talking to friends is really important, especially if they're in the queer community, because only they know what you may or may not like and how you would adjust to certain things in culture which are in your destination. So I think that's important. But just, even when you can make like ties or connections with people who are local, that's really super important.
What is your mission statement?
One of the biggest things I think we're trying to promote is just that we're not going to be one of those types of publications that want you to change who you are or what you look like to go somewhere. For example, the beach. We're all beach body ready, but it's one of those things where I feel like you really need to just embrace yourself, be authentic, and travel wherever you want to. All you need to do when you go to a beach is just a swimsuit.
Not necessarily.
Well, correct. There is that too.
What are some of your favorite destinations you've been to?
So Barcelona is one of my favorite spots. I love the people, the culture, the architecture. It's amazing. And then I also like the idea that it's just 45 minutes train ride away from Sitges, which is where I had my first Bears Week of experience. So
How was that for you?
that was amazing. It was
As one can
amazing.
imagine.
Yes.
And anywhere else?
And then Brazil, I really loved a lot too. I spent 3 weeks there, and I feel like each city has a different personality. And I think one of the places that I like the most is Florianopolis, which has beautiful stretches of sand, white sand. It's just amazing. And I think a lot of people don't know about that, that a lot of Brazilians actually travel to Florianopolis as their vacation destination. So a lot of tourists, American tourists, don't know that that's a hot spot for them. So it's a very a great beaches. And then also Salvador de Bahia, which is like north of Rio, is also amazing. It has a lot of African culture, which is kind of like obviously what connected me to the place. And I think always when you travel, you want to make sure, like I said, your complete authentic self. So for me as a gay man, I'm also kind of feeling that that satisfying that need to connect with my culture as well. So that's one of the reasons why I love Brazil.
I would like to thank you for joining us and for being on our show.
Thank you so much.
And we're very excited to see what comes up with Vacationer. So with that, how about I top up your glass?
Great.
Cheers. Well, that's all for me in Little Britain. Remember that New York has so many new and unexpected places to journey, like a London bus or a fish shop. Join me next time where we go to another NYC location that will hopefully inspire you to travel somewhere new. And remember to check your luggage.
For more information on all the destinations and businesses mentioned in this episode, please visit vacationer.travel.